few months back say that if you are going to leave, leave now. And as normal, when new pastors enter into a new church, there are those who have chosen to leave. And I must be honest, I spend time mourning their loss. But I work very hard to make sure my energy stays focused on you, those who continue to come and sit in the pews and choose to trust me as your pastor, to guide and lead you on a personal and global faith journey. I also find myself constantly seeking and praying for those who have not entered into this place yet, but for people who need to realize how loved they can truly be in all of their imperfections by a pastor and a church. Those who are searching and seeking a place where they can walk and be heard and loved and still be God's. Many of you in this place have already given me that gift. You have chosen to continue at this point with me as your pastor, and I do not take this responsibility lightly. You bring to me a sense of joy in the journey of this church and in my spiritual life. You bring hope and a sense of adventure. You bring a willingness to continue to have sacred and healthy conversations like we began to talk about last week. You are coming to the table with ideas, insights, and great wisdom. You have been willing to start to meet at the well. And at the well, there is trust and the life-giving water that we share. Like the children's book said last week, many of you in this room fill my bucket. Because it's not easy. It's not easy to trust one another. It's not easy to trust oneself, and it can be even more difficult to listen and guide and trust in God. Especially when believing in God does not automatically mean that things will be easy. And the reality is that in the world we live in, listening is a very hard skill to achieve. But I have told you from the beginning that I will be honest with you. I stand here 8 months in and truly still believe that you have the potential to be a consistent, week by week, day by day, life-giving church. I sent out an email message at the beginning of the summer, and it said, I have been awed, humbled, and inspired by your ministry over the last few months. And I meant it. This email went on to list some of the ministries that you participated in only 8 months. The handbell anthems, the 5K, the Good Friday walk, the online Black Saturday prayers, our abilities to give to Week of Compassion and the Disciples Mission Fund and over 100 different ministries through the Pentecost offering. You have been part of God's work. You have worked to help our food pantry, connected to children in our community through our schools, and even supplied other churches like First Christian in Covington with almost 2 tons of food. You have continued to welcome the voices and talents of our children and young adults. You are helping me in so many ways with your insight to be part of the innovative process of worship and social media outreach and more. And it may at times seem like a lot of meetings and a basic worship, but let us continue to celebrate some of the movements that have been happening. I meant that I am awed and humbled. And yet, of course, as we know, God doesn't stop, and neither do we. We are still called to have a lot of hard work that we have in front of us if we are truly going to reboot. And I can tell that some of you sometimes so quickly and easily forget the good things that we have been doing and the good movements that have been happening. It's very easy to sometimes give up or check out or still trying to figure out exactly how I work as the new pastor within this. Some people have just not yet connected with me, and all of us are trying to figure out what our role in this place is going to be. And that's what we're called to do in life, is re-examine our roles in God's story through us, through our individual acts, and through the church and the communities that we are a part of. And through prayer and running, I spend lots of time trying to examine and pray God's call for me most days. I try again and again to listen foremost to God so that I can guide you and the others that I have been called to serve, to listen and know the direction in which God has called all of us. And it's hard because I do not want to cause division. I don't want to cause division in a place where trust needs to be central. And I want you to go home and I want you to discuss these sermons in your day-to-day life and these stories, but I do not want any time my work to cause unhealthy and divisive arguments. I do not want to cause dissension, but I do want us to be challenged enough to seek discovery together. And to do that means that we must also be vulnerable to build trust with one another. These sermons of meeting at the well have been vulnerable times for me. I will admit always openly to you about how I spend time praying and wondering about our discovery path together. Maybe I'm all of a sudden not the one who can call you to critical conversation. Maybe I'm not the one who can help you renew your energy and new directions. And while I find myself so often like Joseph, maybe I'm telling you things you don't want to hear. I've met myself. I know that I say hard truths about a changing world and a changing church and a changing ministry. I see God as so much bigger than any building. And I see God's potential again and again when all ages and races and differences can really find a way to love one another beyond differences, beyond walls, and beyond the evils that hurt us. I dream big. And like I said last week, and like I will say next week, my goal in bringing us together to the wells of conversations is not for us all to agree, or even agree with me. Challenging conversations, ideas, and trials are what help us build a foundation where healthy and sacred conversations are what guide us in our differences, as God can guide us in our connectedness. I am not here to change your mind. I am here because God calls me to help all of us, myself included, challenge myself, my heart, my love, and my unashamed passion for God, Jesus Christ, and God's people. I am here to be vulnerable in front of you so that you and I both learn how to be vulnerable in front of the Spirit, God's Spirit, to move beyond the need for immediate gratification, and to seek ways in which all God's people know they are worthy and loved as their true, authentic God selves. But maybe I'm heading into a pit. Maybe I'm leading you to a pit. Maybe like Joseph, I'm so focused on the messages of God and the positive potential that sometimes I find myself possibly unaware and foolish. Maybe sometimes I dream so big that I forget that family, both real and church family, is where we can get the most hurt. That those who we care about most are usually the ones who know how to hurt us deepest. Haven't we all been there? Seeking a group in which we hope to belong. a place where we can share our dreams. Middle school is filled with that kind of hope and anxiety. High school even continues it. We seek to find people who love us as we truly are. But so often we go towards them without the knowledge that we are heading for a pit. We are not heading for a well that is filled with life-giving water. Instead, we are headed for a place where there is everything that is going to leave us empty. Have we all not seen churches and communities that are supposed to be loving leave a lot of people empty? It's like at one moment we are so in touch with ourselves, our dreams, and our faith, and the next moment our souls, our hearts, and our lives are barren, bleak, and desperate. We find that it might just be easier to go along with the group. Be like Joseph's brothers Reuben, who make sure that they don't actually kill Joseph, but does not ever stand up to protect Joseph and stop his brothers. They do not all of a sudden have a brother moment where they have a heart-to-heart about the deeper issues. They don't engage in healthy and sacred discussion. They just choose it is time to get rid of the problem. My hope is that we see each other, each one of us in this place, as filled with possibilities, for ways to celebrate where we are and where we are going. Are you able to find in each person in this room something to celebrate? Are you able to come here and leave this place ready and passionate about sharing the good news that is Jesus? And know that Jesus is imperfectly working through us imperfect people to those who need to be lifted out of the pit. You see, beyond being a really good Andrew Lloyd Webber musical, Joseph's story is a powerful reminder that God can work when it looks like the world is against us. And I don't think in this place we are working against each other, but I do think that we are all at a point where we need to still seek sacred ways to be in trust and relationship and conversation with one another. And as we do so, I want to remind you how over the last 8 months I have witnessed you showing up when you have been asked to show up. Whether it be just an hour on Sundays as we try some new and different things, or meetings or discussions, or the rummage sale, or sorting through the food, you have actually been able to do some amazing God work. When you show up, you get a lot done and done well. And I want to continue in so many exciting ways to continue to put these long-term pieces in place. But ultimately, it's your passion as a community for Christ, your love of telling your story, your love of church and spiritual life that will bring people to this place, those who have not yet to walk in, and take them to places beyond the walls that are here. It's your willingness to go to Mission First or church camp or women's retreats and regional assemblies. By seeing those, you will all of a sudden open yourselves up to so many more possibilities to see how great and big God is able to be. That there are so many amazing ways out there that God is bringing salvation to each generation and era and place, and it comes into this place. We all, again and again, need to desperately know a great big God. Because all of life is filled with so many empty moments. But to know a great big God, we need to have dreams. Dreams that believe that there is a great big story. We need to know there came a time when Joseph's dreams were able to be filled. And as he filled his dreams, he was able to fill the needs of the world that he knew and even the needs of the family who hurt him. The emptiness and struggle is actually what created the path for God to be able to use Joseph to feed, literally and spiritually, many other people. It is interesting in this story that Joseph never actually forgives his brothers. And the brothers never actually say, "I'm sorry." I feel like in many difficult journeys, those words probably just weren't enough. What does seem to be enough is the reminder that no matter what we've done, no matter who or when or where we've thrown someone else into a pit, or what happened to us after we ran a pit, we always again and again have the ability to serve and stay focused on God. As long as we come with a sense of grace and the ability to help others and ourselves be forgiven. To truly forgive ourselves is one of the most difficult things to do. But it's one of the most important things to do as we continue to seek healthy and sacred conversations. I ask that we all come with a grace to not only forgive one another at times when we need forgiveness, but to be able to forgive ourselves. Basically, this entire sermon comes down to a popular and famous lyric. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And I hope someday you will join us, and the world will lose.